If your bandsaw wouldn't start and I came in and asked for your electrical schematic, would you be able to find it? I'm Jeremy with I Machine Services. I have over 20 years servicing bandsaws. Okay, and before we get into it, I want to ask you guys to leave a comment. Video ideas you guys have for us, we'd love to hear. Okay, so in 20 years of service calls, I would say that 50% or less of my customers either have access to a manual, electrical schematic, or anything along those lines. Okay, unfortunately, most people do not have it. They either lose it, misplace it, or they never got it because they have a secondhand saw. Okay, so what's important on that is that we keep track of our documentation. Okay, because one, it's always a good idea for your operators to have access to the manual so they can learn about the machine. Most manufacturers will have some comprehensive information as far as how to turn the machine on, your different features, as well as what you do for general troubleshooting. You don't necessarily have to read it all the time or anything like that, but it will give you information and it will get you springboarded where you need to go a lot faster. Okay. Another thing is whenever you have someone servicing it, it's really important that they able to have access to the electrical schematic. It is very difficult to troubleshoot a machine without an electrical schematic. I've done it. I've done it with and I've done it without, and I definitely prefer having electrical schematic. It is very helpful. In English is also preferred, but that's not always an option. There's a decent amount of foreign machines out there. Okay. So another thing is there's something called a parts manual or parts diagram list. That is not always in the manual. The electrical schematic is usually more common. The parts usually is not. Okay. That is very helpful. If we have an issue, instead of me having to dig into the machine, I can look at the parts diagram, and a lot of times we can figure out what your wear parts are or what parts are where, and we can kind of have a tactical view, and we can insert and figure out exactly what we want to replace rather than ripping everything apart, hoping for the best, and then your machine is more likely going to be down for a longer period of time. Okay, so that is always very helpful. Okay, so having access to that stuff is going to get your machine up and running quicker. It's going to have you making less phone calls, whether to the manufacturer or to a service technician like myself or my business. And that's going to help you guys to figure out problems with your operators. If they have an issue, you can consult the manual. Okay, as well as when you do have to call someone for help. Okay, it's helpful because now they do not have one arm tied behind their back when they service the machine. Okay, so what I would recommend generally is to look online. Number one, I would talk to the manufacturer. I would ask for a manual. I would skim it, see if there's electrical schematic or parts diagrams in there. A lot of times there is, so you don't necessarily have to ask for more stuff. But then if you see that they don't have anything in there, then you're going to necessarily ask for them and say, hey, can I also get a schematic for this electrical schematic? If it's pneumatic or hydraulic, ask for hydraulic schematic too. That's not as common access to. It's also not necessarily as often we need it, but again, it's very helpful when we do need it. Okay, so that is stuff I'd recommend, and as well as a parts manual or a parts list or diagrams, anything like that. All that kind of stuff is going to be helpful, especially if it's got part numbers, it's got exploded views, all that kind of stuff. Very helpful. So that's one of the things when a customer calls me, depending on what they're asking for, if they have access to that stuff, I know that I'm walking into a good situation. It's going to determine who I can send. If I have somebody that's not as experienced with that type of equipment, I won't necessarily be as confident to send them. And again, it might even take longer for you to get serviced. But if you have all that stuff lined up, you're going to have an easier time getting your machine serviced. Also, if you ever have to call the manufacturer, you're going to sound a lot more intelligent. It's not the biggest deal, but some people that matters. They can actually call things by what the manufacturer calls them rather than what they think it is. I have this screw, or maybe you say, oh, it's a SCH, 1 1/4 by 20 or something, and so it's one of those things where you can actually talk their language and then they'll know what you're actually talking about rather than them having to guess. I have gotten parts wrong, whether it's by the customer or from the manufacturer, because we were not talking the same language. So that is obviously a big deal. Okay. Whenever I have to work on a piece of equipment, especially if I'm out in the field and I have limited access, I'll call up my office. I'll talk to my guy and say, hey, can you find me information on this saw? And he'll do his best to try to get information. He'll either talk to the manufacturer, do Google searches, stuff like that. But again, having that stuff is invaluable and it really speeds us up. And we work on a lot of different bandsaws, and there's similarities, but there's also a lot of differences, and you only want to guess so much. But that's it for this video. If this was helpful, please hit like and subscribe. More bandsaw content is coming. Drop a comment. What type of saw are you running? What kind of shop you're in, as well as what kind of material you're cutting. If you're in the Gulf Coast region and need your bandsaw service, please give us a call or shoot us an email. I Machine Services in Houston, Texas. We travel where you need us. Links are below. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.